My name is Jerry Gill. Today is January 22, 2009. I'm visiting with Floyd Wood in his home in Lawton, Oklahoma. This interview is for the O State Stories Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. Well, congratulations, first of all, Mr. Wood, on your 100th birthday today.
Thank you.
Pretty special day.
Yeah, it sure is.
I understand you were recognized earlier this morning by Willard Scott on the nationally televised Today program. Is that the first time you've ever seen yourself on TV?
Yeah.
Well, what'd you think? Was that pretty exciting for you?
Yeah, to be 100.
Well, one question probably comes to mind you've been asked is how did you live so long? Have you got good family genes there, or what do you attribute it to?
I just living a clean life, I guess. Working hard.
Well, you were born in Hochatown in McCurtain County in southeastern Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Can you share some information about your early life, about your family in Oklahoma before you moved to New Mexico?
I attended grade school at Hochatown until I was in the 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved to New Mexico because my dad wanted to get in a higher climate. He had TB.
Oh.
And I went to high school 3 years in Estancia and 1 year in Albuquerque. My 8th grade in Mountain Air, New Mexico.
Well, going back to Oklahoma, what did your father do for a living? What was his occupation?
He's a farmer.
Farmer? Mm-hmm.
We had Blackland Farm on Mountain Fork River to raise these big white elephant corn. Here's a corn about foot long or more.
There's some beautiful country along there.
Yeah. Did a lot of fishing.
Did you enjoy that growing up and as a young man fishing and hiking and walking in the mountains?
I remember my dad getting up in the tree and shooting the fish, shoot under the fish and killing them. I'd wade in and get them out of the river.
Oh my gosh!
Mountain Fork River.
Did you help out on the farm growing up?
Yeah. A lot of pulling Johnson grass, hoeing and plowing corn.
Did you ever work behind a team of horses or?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? So you're talking about you moved to Estancia, New Mexico?
Yeah.
And so you graduated from high school there? But
yeah.
Can you share a little about your high school experiences, some of the things you did in school?
Well, I played basketball. I was on the basketball team there. And there's 16 in our graduating class. School just small.
Did you help out?
I had a good school.
Well, I understand your father maybe died when you were still in high school, when you were 17, is that right?
Yeah, he died in Albuquerque at the sanatorium there.
Did you help out with some of the family chores?
Yeah. We had quite a few feeding chores to do and other things.
Did you live on a farm there too, on an acreage in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what kind of comes to mind is how did you get back to Oklahoma State University, actually Oklahoma A&M then, from New Mexico? Is there a story there?
I graduated from Estancia High School in 1928. Then I caught a ride back to Oklahoma and worked 1 semester with my brother Clyde in Willis, Oklahoma. Laid out 1 semester and I entered Oklahoma A&M College in 1929.
Started in January.
Yeah. And I got my BS degree in 1933
Mm-hmm.
and the master's degree in 1940.
Mm-hmm. Well, Floyd, could you talk a little bit about what Oklahoma A&M was like in 1928, 1929? What do you remember about the buildings and the campus locations?
Well, there's just a few buildings, but
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bennett had a 25-year plan that
Mm-hmm.
he carried out and built a lot of buildings, and it's enlarged ever since.
What buildings were your classes held?
In the shops building,
Mm-hmm.
in the engineering building,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the old biology building had their science classes.
Mm-hmm.
Had one class in Old Central.
Mm-hmm.
Old Central was the oldest college building in Oklahoma, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Still standing there.
Still is. You're talking about the shops building. Was that by the old industrial arts building?
Yeah, that's where.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
So you were
still there, I guess.
so your major then was in technology.
Training industrial education.
Yes, TNI. Mm-hmm.
And I worked my way through college building furniture and working in the broom factory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The college had this broom factory downtown, and I was shipping clerk for the broom factory.
Okay. So it was located downtown. Then, or was it on Main Street or just off of Main?
Just off of Main Street.
Mm-hmm. And
They paid us 40 cents an hour.
40 cents an hour?
Yeah.
Well, that was good money then, wasn't it?
Pretty good then.
It sure was. Gosh, 40 cents, absolutely. What do you recall some of your professors that you had that had an impact on you, Floyd?
Dr. DeWitt Hunt, and he was also the tennis coach.
Uh-huh.
And Soderstrom was my metal shop teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Browse, of course, was former president of East Central at Ada. He was head of the Trade and Industrial Education Department.
Mm-hmm.
Had most of my major courses under him. Dr. H.G. Browse.
Mm-hmm. What
a wonderful old man.
Mm-hmm.
Went on crutches.
Was at that time? Do you remember what the student enrollment was? How many students you had on campus?
Seemed to me like about 2,900.
Mm-hmm.
Best I can remember.
What did the students do for fun and recreation back in the late 20s, early 30s?
Oh, of course, we had all athletics in the gym, and wrestling, basketball, football. Of course, it's all busy. ROTC too. Had 2 years of that.
Well, if you're going out on a date, where would you go with your date? Would you go
to the movies? About all.
What theater
I
did you?
spent about all money.
Well, what movie theater did most of the students go to?
I forget the name of that.
Was it the one right across from the campus there, the campus theater? Or
no, it's downtown.
Downtown? Mm-hmm.
Seemed to me like it's a Mecca. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. What did any of you ever at that time? It was a lot of the students would get on the train, go to Horse Thief Canyon, or go up north to the train stop up there. Did you ever do any of that?
No.
Mm-hmm. Did you remember ever going to swims? Is that a
swims?
Pretty popular hangout?
That was a hangout.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe a little bit of it? It was 2 floors, was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe a little bit about what it was like, what they had in the building?
It was just a regular hangout, drugstore, and they sold a lot of stuff in there.
Did they have a pool table?
Yeah.
Upstairs?
Uh-huh.
What about just south of there, right there in the corner of Knobloch, where the students would come there in Ficus Hall, upstairs? You remember that student place?
Thatcher Hall.
It was right across the street from the campus, just where the fire station is southeast.
That tall building.
Mm-hmm.
That's Gardner Hall. Right?
Gardner Hall, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you have classes in the old, was it Williams Hall, the Gothic structure building?
Yeah, Marl Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And had their science and math classes over in the biology building.
Mm-hmm.
Engineering classes in the engineering building.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I understand that you met a special young lady there, maybe named Stella Hall. Is that right?
Iris Hall, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Stella Iris.
Stella Iris goes by Iris.
We're going on a picnic out by the farm, and I just happened to grab onto her and love at first sight, I guess.
And she didn't let you let go either, right? That's good. What were some of the student traditions? Did they still have the tug of wars at that time across Theta Pond? And
yeah, they had a lot of that.
what was Theta Pond like back in those days? What did it look like?
Oh, just a regular pond, but it's a well-known place on the campus where everybody hung out a lot.
Were they still feeding watering any livestock at that time?
Yeah.
It was still, because they used to, early in history, a lot of they'd take the water of the livestock there.
Yeah. I used to work on the grounds, and I remember I did a lot of my work around Theta Pond, working on the campus.
A lot of weeds around Theta Pond at that time, a lot of grass, and not as trim as it is today.
No.
Is it? What let's see now? Did you have to wear the freshman beanie? Was that still one of the traditions they had in those days?
Yeah.
So tell me about that tradition. How did that work?
Well, you had to wear it or they'd get you.
Okay, so you had to wear it in public anytime you were outside or on class, whatever you had. So did you have to wear it for a semester or a full year, or what? How long did you have to wear it?
One semester, I think.
So, and if you didn't, if they caught you without it on, what happened to you?
Give you a couple of licks.
Yeah. What do you remember homecoming back in those days? Did you watching the homecoming parades?
Yeah, we had those downtown. They were in the morning, then usually a football game that afternoon. It was a long parade.
Did you ever work on any of the floats that the different groups put together? So you got out of that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, how did you do that? I mean, I thought it was kind of almost required. I heard back in the 20s and early 30s that Frank Eaton, Frank Pistol Pete Eaton, would ride in the parade. Did he ride in the parades when you were a student?
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing him?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him personally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell me about that?
He's a friendly guy. Talked a lot.
Where did you meet him?
I really met him there in this alumni hall that Helen and CL are part of there on campus. Did you know that?
I sure did. Absolutely. They did a great job helping out with that. So Pistol Pete come to see you? The character? Uh-huh. It's great. Did you meet Frank Eaton himself personally? Did you ever meet Frank Eaton live, the person?
No, I never did.
Okay. Because I know a lot of times
he was original Pistol Pete, wasn't it?
He was original. He He used to come on campus a lot, and I thought maybe you'd had a chance to meet him in one of your
I
classes
don't
or see
know
him.
what age he lived to.
He lived in 1958. I think he was like 88 years old or 98
Wasn't he
years
from
old.
Perkins?
Mm-hmm. He did. What? So you were a member of Iota Lambda Sigma? What organization was that?
That was a religious fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
No. Iota Lambda Sigma was the Trade and Industrial Arts fraternity.
Oh, okay. Honorary
Yeah, honorary.
fraternity for your major area. Mm-hmm. Well, what was Stillwater like? What do you remember about Stillwater, the town? What points of interest?
It was a small town.
Mm-hmm.
I worked out north of town and for the guy that owned the Ford agency. Took care of his kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Walked back and forth to town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any particular buildings or things that you remember there's distinctive? Any particular buildings or things that you remember about the community there in Stillwater?
Yeah, I was janitor of the library, the old library.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the engineering hall, we had our drawing classes there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you must have done a lot of things. Could we kind of maybe review some of those again? You worked in the broom factory. You worked at the shops there and made furniture for Willard Hall, I think, some of it, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, we built all that furniture for Willard Hall.
Right. And I see you clerked then down at the broom factory.
Yeah.
You worked in the library?
I was janitor at the library.
Janitor at the library, okay. And then, see, now I heard you worked at the dairy, Williamson's Dairy.
Yeah, that's the first job, running the route and milking.
Okay, so you help with the milking. Of course, it was all hand then, wasn't it? You didn't have the mechanical milkers.
No machines.
Then you worked the route and delivered the milk on the route. Mm-hmm. I guess you had to get up a little early in the morning for that?
Oh, I worked all my way through college. I didn't get any help from home.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty, those jobs you mentioned are all pretty tough jobs, most of them. And so you really appreciate your degree then, I guess, more than most.
Sure do.
You truly earned it. Yeah. Well, I understand did you live off campus during your time there at OSU?
Yeah, I lived over there on Duck Street most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Was that like a boarding place?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you
That's
room and board?
where I delivered milk.
Uh-huh.
Name was I forget his name now. Sam Williams, I believe was his name.
And there's several boarding houses around Stillwater at that time. A lot of them, particularly, didn't most of the male students live off campus?
Yeah.
Now, did the women were they required to live on campus?
Some of them, I think, lived off and boarded where they just had women boarding houses.
Yeah. Where did Iris live? Did she live on campus?
They had a house rented. She and her sister and two brothers all went to college together.
My gosh, it was a family affair.
Took a cow up there to milk.
That's great.
Helped pay their way through.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't heard about that. That's great. Well, did you remember any? Let's see, we had Thatcher Hall for the women. Had
Hanner Hall was the men.
Men. Hanner, and then I see we had
Gardner Hall.
Gardner Hall was the other one for women.
That's all women, I think. It's the biggest one.
Yeah. And I hear the rules were pretty strict. And what were when they lived on campus? What were the hours for the women then? When they have to be back in the evening?
I think by about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I didn't live on the campus.
You never dated anyone that lived in the residence hall, so you don't really know, huh?
No.
Who was the mine's going blank now, the dean of women at that time? She was a pretty tough gal, I heard. Was it Julia Stout? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Stout.
I heard she could be pretty tough. But.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that though, did you know Dean Mack, Clarence McElroy, Dean of Students? Did you ever meet with him personally, get a chance to talk to him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was science teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dean of Science and Literature.
Mm-hmm. Then he was also a dean of men, I think. Men students with him. Did you ever get in trouble and have to go to the dean? Did you?
No.
No, you probably wouldn't tell it anyway, would you? That's good. Well, let me back up. You know, it was a pretty special year. You came actually right within 6 months of when Henry G. Bennett came in as president, 1928.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the students? How did they think about Dr. Bennett?
I thought he was the greatest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He came up there from Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Was president down there at that college.
Right.
And after that, he resigned at at A&M. He got in this .4 program.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And traveled all over the world working on that. I don't know what all it entailed, but it's quite a program.
Did you ever go to the president's home, visit with the president? I understand a lot of students did in those days.
I've even borrowed money from him.
Oh, really? Well, can you tell me about that story? How'd that come about?
I just got so broke I had to go somewhere. He and A.L. Crable, he were in the same office, and I borrowed money from both of them.
Equal opportunity
I
borrower.
always managed to pay it back some way.
Yeah. How do you remember how much you borrowed?
Oh, about $15, $20.
Mm-hmm. I heard that Dr. Bennett did a lot of loan. If a student needed help, he'd give them, $10, $15, $20. And
he was also my Sunday school teacher.
Right.
At First Baptist Church.
What kind of teacher was he?
He was the best.
Mm-hmm. Was he pretty inspiring?
Yeah, and he really knew his Bible.
Mm-hmm. Now his father was a Baptist minister.
Yeah,
that's I understand. Mm-hmm. Well, what now? Your class, was it just a class for college students, or was it for all adults and students, for men?
Mostly college students.
Mm-hmm. And it was for the men students, right?
And the men that wanted to be in it.
Mm-hmm. Now, did his wife? She taught the women's class.
She taught the women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what was he? What was his teaching style when he taught Sunday school class?
Oh, he didn't have to refer to any notes. He'd read a verse and then discuss it.
And he could just quote scripture without having to look it up.
Quote scripture real good.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best men I ever knew.
Was his style? Did he have like he had quote scripture and then say something about it? Then did he have a discussion? Did he kind of encourage discussion? Group discussion. How many typically would be in your Sunday school class that he was teaching?
About 30.
Did you have assignments? I mean, not like a school assignment, but your next lesson. Did you study your next lesson?
Yeah, we had our Sunday school books we studied.
You want to kind of be up for the college president, and you want to know your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, was he an influence on you in terms of what you learned from him spiritually in other ways?
He was a good example. Set good examples for all the kids there.
Did he? I had heard that he really had a penchant for remembering names. Did he? He could remember names very well. Is that true?
Yeah, he could call us by name.
So after a time or two, he knew everybody's name.
Yeah. If he ever met you, he remembered your name.
What do you, looking back on Dr. Bennett, his life, what do you remember? Let's say as a student, first of all, what do you remember as a student about him? What things stand out in your mind about him?
His intellect,
Mm-hmm.
Real brilliant man.
Mm-hmm.
And his world travels. He did so much good traveling in this .4 program. He was busy, engaged, making speeches all over around. He was in demand to talk to groups a lot.
Did you ever visit in his home? There, the white 2-story frame house.
Yeah.
You visited in his home.
They'd have parties there, and we'd go.
What kind of parties would you have in his home?
Just groups of, in his class mostly.
His Sunday school class group primarily. Just to have a little social and maybe some hors d'oeuvres. And what do you remember about his wife? Was she pretty accommodating?
She was really a nice person. Beautiful woman. And a good teacher.
Did you meet some of their kids? Did you know any of the children, Bennett children? They were there?
I knew Phil, just not too well, but he knew me, and that's about all.
Did you know Tom, the other son?
No, I don't remember.
The younger son, I think. I interviewed Tom back a couple months ago.
You met him? Where is he now?
In Oklahoma City. He's still a judge, administrative judge for Social Security, and he's still he's still going strong. Goes to work nearly every day still.
Wonder what Phil Bennett's doing.
Bill's deceased now.
Oh, is he?
Tom's the only one of the kids still living. Well, kind of talking about people. There's another special personality that you're engaged with, Edward Gallagher, Coach Ed Gallagher.
Yeah.
So you wrestled for 1 year at Oklahoma State. What year was that?
I went out. Seemed me like that was 1932 or 3. But I never did make the wrestling team. I just wrestled once.
Well, tell me about that. There's got to be a story there. What deal was that?
It was a match with East Central.
East Central. So what weight did you wrestle at?
115.
115, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, should I ask how the match came out? Did you?
He won.
He won. Well, golly, I thought guys in orange and black always won in wrestling.
I wasn't that good.
Well, who do you remember? Some of the guys that you wrestled with?
Tom, let's see, Sawyer, and
Was McCready still there?
Rex. That boy made the Olympic team.
Okay, let me.
Can't remember his name.
Okay, well, I was looking here because I had at one time I had a. There you go. I had a photocopy of it here. Thank you. Okay. How about Andy Hesser? You remember Andy?
Oh yeah. Andy could pin me.
Andy,
he and I were the same weight.
Well, Andy, worked for the university for many, many years and just died here, 2 or 3 years ago.
What was he doing?
Well, he was he worked over in the College of Engineering and worked with that program for several years. And Andy owned the land we bought for the parking lot, Alumni Center. So he's a good guy. Well, let's see some names here.
He did what? The parking lot?
The Alumni Center that Helen Sell helped us build right across the street from it. We bought land from Andy Hesser.
He owned that land?
He did. Yeah, he got into, later when he retired, he got into real estate. Even before he retired, he and his sons were in real estate and property management.
I didn't know that.
Well, how about, let me see if I can, did one of Gallagher's sons wrestle at that time? I see D. Gallagher. Is that Don Gallagher?
Don Russell's son.
Is he a pretty good wrestler?
Pretty good. His Clarence was a 100-yard dash man now. He's a track man.
Let's see what I'm thinking here of McGurk. Was it Leroy's first name?
Leroy.
He's a pretty good wrestler. What do you remember about
Yeah,
Leroy?
he was really good.
He was a national champion, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to me like he had one eye out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the here, Pierce and Sawyer and
Oh, yeah.
Brown and Costner.
Pierce. Bobby Pierce, was it?
There were some pretty good wrestlers in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you remember about the workouts? What were the workouts like?
They were rough.
But how did you, did you manage to, with all the things you're doing, I'm surprised you found time to
I
wrestle.
didn't go out too long. I didn't wrestle much. I was too busy working.
So what was a typical workout under Coach Gallagher like?
He was really strict.
So a lot of discipline.
Showed you a lot of good holds.
Did he work a lot of hands-on, demonstrating holds?
Yeah, showing you.
So about how long was a typical workout?
About an hour and a half.
Did you do also have to do calisthenics and wind conditioning, other things as well?
Beforehand.
So what did you?
Weightlifting.
So you believe in weightlifting for strength, and then you did what? Some wind sprints and bleachers or whatever. How did he relate to his wrestlers? I've heard stories about Coach Gallagher. He could really inspire people. But what do you remember about him as a coach? His technique, his style, how he worked with these wrestlers.
He wrote the book on it.
Literally did, yes.
Yeah. And he, a lot of people going out from under him and their coaches, still coaching wrestling.
Was he, you said he was pretty...
One at Iowa State was coached by him.
In the workout, you said he was pretty much a tough taskmaster. I mean, did you working pretty hard all the time?
Yeah.
Did he, was he an inspirational kind of coach? I mean, to the guys, I know he was tough. One part of him I'd heard from some other.
They all respected him.
Did he, I had heard that he had a kind of a, this is for wrestling matches primarily, had kind of a quiet style, but he could really look a guy in the eye and could really inspire him. I mean, with a kind of a quiet, intense kind of voice. Is that true?
Yeah.
What do you remember about your interaction with him? I know it wasn't very much, and since you were one on the regular team, but what impact did he have on you personally?
I thought he was a wonderful coach.
Let's see, it's probably a little bit different. A lot of folks wouldn't recognize the setup. Now, you wrestled actually in the old gymnasium, is that correct?
Yeah. Upstairs.
And you had it was actually a ring, kind of a raised platform with a ring around it?
Just a mat. We didn't have it roped off.
Didn't have it roped off at that time? Okay. What was it like? Was it pretty crowded in wrestling matches there in the old gymnasium?
Yeah, they had pretty good attendance.
So I've seen pictures where they showed them hanging up on the rafters even up there. Is that true? It must have been really something special. What was it pretty noisy in one of those matches? The crowd really get into it?
Yeah, they really yelled a lot.
Was there anything you remember about Coach Gallagher in terms of, did he stress, you talked about lifting, about working hard. Was he big on diet, technique, things like that? What did he teach and preach kind of?
He expected you to be in good shape, lifting weights and right kind of diet, so forth.
So he talk about tobacco and alcohol and things like that, and leaving that alone.
Yeah.
But he specifically wanted the boys to be sure and eat 3 good meals a day. And did he ever talk about it? I heard he sometimes talked about diet. Did he ever talk about what he expected you to eat?
No, just good, healthy diet.
Okay, good. What just out of your what memories are your special memories of your time wrestling there? Any special moments you have? I guess the wrestling match against the guy have to be central to one of them.
Mostly the workouts. course, I just wrestled at one time.
Had you ever wrestled before?
No. Oh, I had in grade school and out on the playgrounds.
Right.
Used to wrestle the Indians down in McCurtain County.
What made you want to go out for wrestling?
I just thought I could make it, but I didn't.
Well, there's some pretty doggone good wrestlers at the time too, though.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Is there any, we were talking about Dr. Bennett earlier. Are there any Dr. Bennett stories that you remember? I mean, there's a lot of Dr. Bennett stories told, and some of them are true, I heard. But do you have some stories about Dr. Bennett that you remember while you were a student or even later?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember Clay Potts?
Yep. Cooked all the barbecue and.
Yeah, he did all the barbecuing. Wonder if he's still living.
No, he's been deceased several years now. Mm-hmm.
He sure put on some good feeds.
Well, he did, didn't he? He did. What were there some? You were talking about some of the faculty members earlier. Were there other faculty members or other administrators on campus that you remember at the time that had an impact on your life, or just that you remember specifically for some reason?
English teacher, but I can't remember her name.
Well, English classes.
Main one though was Dr. Browse. Taught all the trade and industrial classes. He was really a good teacher.
At that time, I guess your classes were usually fairly small classes, maybe.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of personal attention?
Yeah.
From professors?
He said, now here's a book, y'all can read it, but we won't use it very much.
That's good.
He just talked from experiences.
That's good. So your major was T&I, Trade and Industrial Education, and I understand that you had a fairly rough first semester, but it got better as it went along.
I think I made 8 hours.
How many did you take?
I think 12.
What did you think about the time? Did you kind of wonder maybe?
I'm about ready to go home. Stuck it out.
Did somebody encourage you to stay? I mean,
no, I just decided I was going to stay or else.
Just too ornery to give up.
Nothing else to do.
Well, so no, but I got to give you credit. I understand your last, a couple years, you're in a couple semesters, you're on the Dean's Honor Roll.
Yeah.
Well, you made some progress then.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah. Was it tough balancing all of your work that you did with your schoolwork?
Yeah, it took a lot of doing.
Well, you were there at a unique time, Floyd, when the depression, stock market, and then the beginning of the depression, and I guess it's pretty hard to come by money. Did a lot of the students have a part-time job? Pardon me?
What was that?
The Great Depression. We had
what was the money?
Oh, what was money? Okay, I got it. You're asking what is money? No one had any. Didn't see it. Didn't recognize it. So most of the students had jobs to pay their way through school?
Oh, there's a lot of them didn't have to work. Fraternity boys. Of course, a lot of them worked in the fraternities.
So did you have a lot of students that were in your same boat, had to put in a lot of hours and do odd jobs to pay their way through school?
Yeah, I painted furniture. I remember I had a job painting all the chairs in a big restaurant had off the campus. I remember in there painting chairs with everybody else, having a big time, laughing and going on. I was there painting those chairs.
You're painting whatever else, having a good time. We talked about the jobs that you had and so on. So you graduated in spring of 1933.
Yeah.
And then you had a teaching certificate along with your T&I. So is that what you taught in high school? You taught high school for a few years and coached wrestling some as well?
Yeah.
What were some of the schools that you taught at?
Hochtown.
So you went back to your hometown?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and taught at Norman one year.
Mm-hmm.
And I inherited the best wrestling team in the state. We won the state championship. Wasn't my fault, though.
Mm-hmm. Where was that?
Norman.
No, at Norman? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Uh-huh. Well, you take a little bit of credit. At least you didn't mess it up, right?
I remember we rode over to Hobart in an open truck.
Mm-hmm.
The football coach there got all the money, and
Mm-hmm.
we just had to do the best we could. Snorter Luster, did you ever hear of him?
No, I don't think so.
He thought all the money ought to go to football.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get hardly any.
Mm-hmm.
Just mostly on our own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We won that Hobart tournament.
Mm-hmm. And you won a state championship then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So where did you see Hochtown, Norman? Did you go? You went out to the Panhandle then? After
Yeah,
that?
I taught school at Goodwill, Oklahoma for, from 36 to, let's see, two years, I guess, out there. Then I went to Anadarko.
So now you were there in the Dust Bowl days.
Yeah.
Can you tell a bit?
Yeah, we had to wear sacks over our heads to keep the dirt out of our mouths.
Wow. You have a wet cloth in front of your face too also sometimes.
I remember one time we swept off about 30 pounds of dust off our living room floor.
Wow. Did it affect in those jobs? Do you have some milk cows and some animals at all?
Not out there, no.
Because I know that it's pretty hard sometimes for them to even find forage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because of all the sand. You remember some of the blackouts then from the blizzards, not blizzards, but the sandstorms?
Oh, they were really black.
Mm-hmm.
Tumbleweeds would get in the fences, and then the dust would cover the fences up.
So you actually lived the Dust Bowl days truly then out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you got out there as quick as you could after a couple of years and then
Yeah, I got the hay fever out there.
Then to Anadarko then from there.
Taught there 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Did you wrestle also? Were you wrestling coach there also?
We had team 1 year, but we didn't stay with it.
Mm-hmm. Did you
I remember making a big walnut desk for the junior high principal there in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
One of these big desks.
Yes. You pretty impressed with that, huh?
Uh-huh.
So, what kinds of things you taught woodworking classes and so on. Well, what kind of things would you make as part of your projects working with the students? Desks and other things?
Yeah, and little trinkets.
Mm-hmm.
I made that desk there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And that cabinet in.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you kept doing later in life, even when you changed over?
What?
Did you still do that as a hobby later in life after you
Yeah,
quit teaching?
after I moved to Lawton, I had a shop and a workshop in the back.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you talked about Lawton. Now you see when you left Anadarko, did you come back to OSU to A&M, to finish or to get your master's degree? Is that correct? Yeah. And you got that in 1944.
1940.
1940. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, did you then, after you got your degree, did you go back into teaching for a while, or did you go? What year did you start with vocational rehabilitation?
I started teaching shop and science in Anadarko, and then I started in rehabilitation in 1944.
Okay.
Had 14 counties.
Is that when you moved to Lawton then?
Yeah.
What can you tell me what was the connection that you went from teaching in high school to working in vocational rehabilitation services?
Well, all of this was with handicapped people.
I mean, how did you get the job? Did you know someone or just apply for an opening, for the position? How did you get a position in vocational?
Yeah, I just applied for a job, and there's the high school principal where I was teaching applied for it too. And he even hauled me back and forth to Lawton a while before I moved down there.
So it was 1944.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't interrupt you. You said you had several counties around that you worked with?
Yeah, 14 counties.
And
At the last time, I had one county. They kept adding counselors. At one time, they only had 2 counselors for the whole state.
Well, could you kind of describe a little about your job, what you did in that position?
We would interview people according to their handicaps and send them to college and try to get them into the work that their handicap wouldn't be too much of a drawback. And we trained barbers
And after
everything.
So a lot of those, I guess, after the used to be called area tech schools, I guess they're career tech centers now. Did they still have some of the? I mean, did they go to some of those kinds of centers also for training? As well as
I didn't.
Didn't, okay. Did they go to, most of yours went to colleges?
Yeah.
For the training? Okay. They had to be pretty rewarding over the years. So you're helping people get educated, then did you help them find jobs as well as part of the program?
We even paid for physical restoration too. They needed surgery or some other type of work. We try to help them get into it.
So this was under the Department of Human Services?
Yeah.
Under Mr. Rader, Lloyd Rader program?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's got to be some special memories and moments that you have. There's some things that stand out in your mind, and you were like 39 years. You worked in vocational rehabilitation. I mean, that's a long time.
Every once in a while, I meet somebody that I'd forgotten all about. You helped me go through college, or you helped me get a job. I'd even forgot about them. After 39 years, there's a lot of people go through your hands.
So you were working in the counties. What groups were you working with to identify? When you were out working in those 14 counties, how did you identify and find the people to help?
The county superintendents helped, and they referred people I'd go to all the high schools and find handicapped people. They'd put on programs to let them know what the program's like.
Well, these people that were handicapped or physically challenged, I guess the terminology we use today, what kinds of handicaps were you usually working with?
Everything from asthma on down.
Or on up, whichever.
On up. Some that couldn't walk. I had one client with both hands off.
Wow.
But he managed to do things.
So you worked with them, helping them with get materials and equipment and wheelchairs and different things, help them get educational training.
Yeah.
And then did you also help them then with the placement and help them find jobs for them too?
Yeah.
Well, it had to be a very rewarding, Mr. Wood, a very rewarding career to do. 39 years of that, does it bring you some special satisfaction and pride that you were able to help hundreds, maybe literally thousands of people in your lifetime?
On the job trainings, we're training a lot of typewriter mechanics and stuff like that.
All right, it's got to be pretty special. Is there a special person or two that stands out that you remember that you worked with that went on and really achieved something significant with their life that you helped change their life for the better? There's some names you might recall.
There's a Perkins boy here. I can't remember his first name. And then I had a boy by the name of Joe B. Reeves. He's an attorney. Helped him through college. Just paid his tuition. Some of them we even paid some maintenance for him. Board and room. But they had to really have to have it. We just have to take an inventory of what they had and what they needed.
Well, you kind of change the subject just a minute. You're a life member of the OSU Alumni Association.
Yeah.
And we're proud that you are. But so you've been, associated with the university for many, many years. I mean, of course, going back to the 30s. Do you remember some of the people like A.O. Martin, the former Student Association? What was A.O. or Archie, I guess, or A.O. as they called him? What was he like? Did you ever work with him doing some things here in the Lawton area?
No, not much. H.G. Bennett would come out to alumni programs and make speeches. You
had an active club here in Lawton.
Yeah.
Did you participate in those? Were you an officer in the club and helping out some? What do you remember about? Did you go back to some of the class reunions? The class reunions used to be a really big deal with the Alumni Association and the university. Did you participate in any class reunions?
No, never did.
Never did. Go back to homecoming regularly?
Yeah.
See the parade and the house decorations?
Yeah.
Speaking of the homecoming, when you were going to school there, the house decorations really weren't a big deal. They just maybe decorate around the entryway to the houses, but they didn't, like they have the large house decorations on the lawns. Now, they didn't have those in those days, did they? Did they? Well, what did they do there at the fraternity sorority houses? Anything?
I don't know.
You remember? Of course, most of it at that time, they put their time into the floats and in the parade and so on.
Yeah.
Well, how about Merle Rogers? You remember Merle?
Yeah.
He was a go-getter, wasn't he?
Yeah. I just wonder if Merle's still living.
Merle is not. His wife is still there. So you went back to Stillwater a couple times when April and Bryant were on campus.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him do his spirit rider thing on?
Yeah.
Did it make you pretty proud?
Yeah, he was a spirit rider.
Well, now rumor has it that your kids could go anywhere they wanted, but you'd only pay their tuition to Oklahoma A&M. Is that true? But Gwen and Helen, your two daughters, both went to Oklahoma State University, and I think they both.
I didn't have much money. I remember for one of them, I had to cancel an insurance policy to get money enough to pay her tuition.
Oh my gosh, that is a sacrifice. That's great when I see you had then their two husbands are OSU graduates, and out of your 4 grandkids, 3, is that correct? 3 of them are graduates of Oklahoma State?
Yeah, Joel went to OBU on the tennis scholarship.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's religious schools. That's kind of okay, I guess. But that's pretty much. I mean, OSU is a tradition in your family, isn't it? Yeah. Are you? Let me get some right quick. Get a couple questions and we'll change tapes. What do you still? I mean, through all the years, is Oklahoma State University still pretty special to you? You stayed connected with your university.
I never fail to watch a game they're in if I can get them on TV.
What is special moments you've had with Oklahoma State University since you graduated? Some things you've done here or back on the campus that are special to you?
I guess having Dr. Bennett come out to our alumni meetings.
Did he remember you?
Yeah.
He didn't forget names, did he?
No.
Yeah. That's great.
It was a terrible crash when he got killed.
Sure was. Right. So we're back with our interview after changing tapes.
I don't know how old Dr. Bennett was when he died, when he got killed. He must have been in his 70s, though.
I think he was maybe about mid-60s, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think so. It was December of 1950 or 51. December 51 is when he died.
You don't know how old he was.
No, but I think he was pretty close to retiring age. He was around 65, 66, I believe, as I recall. Well, we were talking about the Alumni Association and A.O. Martin and Merle Rogers, and knew some of those.
Oh, Will Rogers came and made a speech there one time. I remember him walking across the campus with Dr. Bennett. He was a lot taller than Bennett was.
He referred in one of his trips to Dean Blizzard. He was about in Dean Blizzard's judging team. Remember his livestock judging teams?
Yeah.
He's famous for. And what did you think about Will Rogers? Did you get a chance to see him up close?
No, I just pretty close to him. I did get to shake hands with him though.
Did he speak in Gallagher Hall? Is that where he?
At the auditorium, whole student body in the auditorium there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of come back and ask you some of the facilities maybe that you remember. Did they still have the cafeteria there? There was.
Yeah, there's an old cafeteria.
Two-story building there on the corner.
Yeah, close to Hanner Hall, I believe.
And I think it was just south
Was
of
it just west of Morrill Hall?
Just west of Morrill Hall and south of Hanner Hall.
Yeah.
In that corner. Yes, sir.
Wasn't much room in there.
What do you remember about it? They just had long tables, cafeteria style?
I never did eat there much. Boy, they got a good place now.
Do you remember the old auditorium you referred to earlier was a pretty nice facility, wasn't it?
Yeah. Held most of the student body.
Did you have assemblies there? You'd have class assemblies in the auditorium? Were you in ROTC?
Yeah.
Basic ROTC for 2 years?
2 years. We called it Bull.
Was there another name at the end of it, or just Bull? That's great. Well, of course, the student union wasn't there. So was there a hangout on campus where you go to get milk or coffee or something?
Swims.
You could just go to swims.
That was before Eskimo Joe.
Right. Well, how about was the dairy building there then? They used to serve milk at the dairy building.
Yeah.
Were they served it then back in the 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite building on the campus that you enjoyed more than any other?
Engineering building, I guess.
Then let's see, you said you worked in the library. Was the library just south of Gunderson Hall? Is that where the library was located, across from the president's home?
Yeah.
The old library that's tore down now.
Yeah, I don't know what part of the student union's in there now, I guess.
Right.
It was right where the student union building is, wasn't it?
Right. What, kind of going back to maybe some of the alumni conversation, Floyd, a little bit earlier, is it, in your mind, is it important for alumni to stay connected to the university?
Yeah, they ought to.
Think ought to be a member of the Alumni Association?
Yeah, everybody ought to.
What are some of the things that you guys, you had a local club here, and you're talking about Dr. Bennett coming to visit you. What are some of the things they ask you to do as a club for the university? I mean, did you help recruit students? Did you help provide scholarships for students?
Yeah, try to get as many to go up and visit the campus as we could. Try to get them enrolled.
Did you ever help visit any students in the high schools to talk to them about OSU? And
Yeah.
So the alumni would come and they'd have like a college day or college night and talk to them. Okay. How, in your mind, how has OSU changed over the years? I mean, physically, obviously, it's changed.
It's got bigger, bigger and better.
What is that good to get bigger?
Yeah.
What?
Don't get too big.
What? How have students changed in your mind? I mean, you've seen your daughters go there, and your grandkids? No,
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Hadn't changed too much, I don't think.
What do you remember about OSU or A&M that was special to you, Lloyd? I mean, Floyd, what was it? You got a special place in your heart for A&M.
It's special to go back or see the athletic events on TV. It's the most special thing now to me.
Did you go back? You said earlier in your career you went back to OSU campus a lot to watch athletic
Not
football
too
games.
much, mostly on TV.
Most on TV. Okay. Yeah. What if looking back, if you give any advice to current faculty, students, OSU, what would that advice be? What would you tell them?
Study hard and don't overdo it. Don't overload yourself. You get too many activities, I think. It's a detriment to your studies. But extracurricular activities one of the important things. So.
And not to work as many hours as you did.
No.
You didn't heed your advice about overload.
Need more hours to study.
What? Any particular part of the university that you supported over the years that you've been close to? I mean, I know they don't have the trade industrial program anymore, but is there any part of the university?
I support the foundation. Give money to the foundation.
Have you supported?
Not very much.
Have you supported scholarship programs, or what kinds of things have you supported financially over the years?
Just to the foundation.
Just general giving. Okay. What, kind of going back, you were at a unique time at Oklahoma State, Oklahoma A&M, and as we alluded to earlier, because you got there just before the stock market crashed, just before the Depression, just when Dr. Bennett got there. Did you notice it changing while you were there, and the few years after you left? And there's some pretty significant changes. What do you remember that changed most about OSU?
Well, I remember that a little later on, people seemed to have more money. more help from home.
Mm-hmm.
Depression days, people couldn't help the kids much.
Right. Kind of had, like you did, go, sort of go it on your own.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For what, looking back, I mean, 100 years is a pretty significant milestone. And again, I want to kind of end where I started and congratulating you on your 100th birthday, which is pretty special. And what things in your life, what moments in your life have been important to you? There's some key events. Certainly you got married, I'm sure, had your kids, but what things stand out in your lifetime that are special, memories, special moments for you?
I believe a church work.
Mm-hmm.
And helping the great grandkids, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I try to give great grandkids money on their birthdays, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them to try to save up for college.
So your family's been important to you, obviously. Your church has been very important to you.
Family.
Mm-hmm. Have you maintained over the years any connections at all? I know it's been several years now, but with rehabilitative services, some of the people you worked with, you maintain any ties or connections there at all?
Yeah, I got a good friend here in Lawton that
Mm-hmm.
was my supervisor, still living here in Lawton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever get up to their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
There's a blind man that I think his mother shot him. Is a counselor for rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Lives here in Lawton.
Mm-hmm.
Works for services for the blind.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you had a chance to actually be live with Willard Scott on the Today Show, and I said if you had a chance to be on TV with Willard Scott live, and they ask you this question, you're out to all of America, and they ask you, what advice would you give to people, that throughout their life, you've seen a lot of life, with any advice you'd give them what would be important in their lives?
Work hard and tend to your own business.
that'd be a good one.
Stay away from wild women.
That's great. Great. Okay. Well, have you left anything out for it? Anything you'd like to talk about? We haven't have on here anything about OSU? Because I'm really particularly interested in your memories of early in your life, that time at Oklahoma State. We don't have very many people around to remember Oklahoma State, Oklahoma A&M 1928 like you do. But is there anything we didn't talk about A&M at that time, or that you'd like to share that you've thought about since?
It's a good place to go to work your way through school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
I never did fail to have some kind of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I could go.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get any help from home.
Mm-hmm. I heard that Dr. Bennett was very good to, the whole school, but really started with Dr. Bennett, is to try to create opportunities for students to work.
Yeah.
And put them to work if they wanted to.
He's the one that got that broom factory started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And his idea of making furniture for the dormitories instead of having to buy it, give the students jobs instead of buying furniture outside. It was all good hardwood furniture, maple, most of it.
So Dr. Bennett was pretty strong, from our conversation picked up, he was a pretty strong influence on your life then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, Lord, unless there's anything else, I think.
He was, even the governors went to him for advice. He was a politician.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was really a statesman instead of a politician.
I understand he was pretty good. Well, I sure appreciate it. I think that conclude our interview, unless you got something else, anything.